Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to dive into one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, misunderstood technologies of our time, artificial intelligence.
You might not even realize it, but AI is already a huge part of your daily life. I mean, think about it. Every single time Netflix perfectly suggests that new show you binge watch, or YouTube just knows what video to play next, yep, that's an AI recommendation system working its magic.
And it's not just that. From those incredible tools that can translate languages in real time, to the virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa that live in our phones and our homes, AI is just everywhere, quietly running in the background of our lives. In fact, AI has gotten so common, so integrated into what we do, that a lot of the time we don't even call it AI anymore. It's just technology. But how did we get here? How did this tech get so powerful? And maybe more importantly, what does it all mean for our future?
Okay, so let's get right down to it. What is artificial intelligence, really? Let's try to cut through all the hype and the sci-fi stuff and get a clear definition.
At its very core, AI is all about creating machines that can sense what's going on around them and then take actions to have the best shot at hitting a specific goal. So you see, it's not just about thinking, it's about doing. And again, just think about your day. That incredibly smart web search you did on Google? AI. Navigation apps that get you through traffic? AI. And of course, those tools that can generate text or images out of thin air, like ChatGPT, that's all sophisticated AI that's become so normal, we barely even think twice about it. So how in the world does a machine go from just being a pile of code to something that can actually learn and make its own decisions? Well, it all comes down to a process that completely changed the game. Right, so here's the secret sauce. The big difference with modern AI is that instead of a programmer trying to write code for every single possible scenario, which, let's face it, is impossible, these systems learn directly from data. And the more data they chew on, the better they get at whatever we ask them to do. Now, this learning happens in two main ways. First, you've got what's called supervised learning. The best way to think about this is like studying with flashcards. The AI is given a ton of data that's already labeled with the correct answers, so it learns by example. Then you have unsupervised learning. This is more like being dropped into a brand new city with no map and no guide. The AI has to look at all this unlabeled data and just figure it out. It starts to find hidden patterns and structures all on its own. And a lot of this learning happens inside something called an artificial neural network. Now, it sounds complicated, but the idea is pretty cool. It's a system of interconnected digital neurons organized in layers, and it's loosely inspired by how our own brains are wired. Each layer learns to recognize more and more complex patterns, building on what the layer before it figured out. Okay, so let's see how all this theory comes together, because the real-world results are pretty astonishing. This stuff has moved way, way beyond the research lab.
You can really track the incredible progress of AI just by looking at its victories in some of our most complex strategy games. I mean, beating the world chess champion in '97 was a huge deal, but mastering the ancient game of Go, that was a landmark moment. Go has more possible moves than there are atoms in the universe. People seriously thought a machine could never beat a human champion. They were wrong.
And its impact goes so far beyond just entertainment. In science, for instance, there's a system called AlphaFold 2 that's solving biological puzzles that used to take researchers years to crack, and it's doing it in a matter of hours. This is turbocharging things like drug discovery. In global business, AI is optimizing these incredibly complex supply chains. It's a truly general-purpose technology.
But, and this is a really big but, with all this incredible power comes a whole new set of really complex, really urgent ethical questions that we have to confront. The same tech that can solve our problems can also create brand new ones. So here's a critical one. Can an algorithm be biased? The short answer is yes, absolutely. Because these AI systems learn from data that we humans created, they can easily absorb and even amplify the prejudices that are already baked into that data. And this isn't just a theory. This is a stark, real-world example. This is data from an algorithm called Compass, which was actually used in U.S. courts to predict the risk of someone reoffending. What it found was that the algorithm was twice as likely to falsely flag black defendants as high risk. But here's the craziest part. The AI was never told the defendant's race. So how did it happen? Well, it learned from historical data where things like your zip code or the number of prior arrests acted as proxies for race, effectively encoding systemic societal biases right into its own logic. So ultimately, it's pretty simple. If you train an AI on a world full of human bias, you are going to get a biased AI. And it doesn't just reflect our world. It can create these dangerous feedback loops that make the inequalities that already exist even worse. And this leads us to the ultimate question.
one that has really moved out of science fiction and into very serious debates in academia. Could a powerful enough AI become a threat to humanity's very existence?
I mean, when people like the late great Stephen Hawking warn that a super-intelligent AI could spell the end of the human race, you have to listen. The fear is that if we create a machine that can recursively improve itself, it could kick off an intelligence explosion, just getting smarter and smarter at a rate we can't even comprehend, let alone control.
However, it is really important to note that a lot of AI pioneers push back hard against these doomsday scenarios. People like Jürgen Schmidhuber argue that these fears are overblown. They point out that the overwhelming focus of almost all AI research is on solving humanity's biggest problems, from curing diseases to fighting climate change.
So all this leaves us standing at a really critical moment in history. We're building the most powerful tools ever created, and we're facing both immense promise and some pretty profound risks. What's the path forward?
The central challenge right now is something the experts call AI alignment. And it's all about making sure that as these systems get more and more powerful, their goals remain fundamentally locked in with our goals, with human values. The objective isn't just to make AI smarter, it's to make sure that we and our powerful creations are all aiming for the same kind of future.
And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. Since these systems are basically a reflection of the data we feed them, a reflection of our history, our behaviors, and all our biases, the challenge of building better AI is completely inseparable from the challenge of building a better world.